10 seconds. 3, 2, 1, go!
18.1 is underway. Settle in. This is going to be a long one. For only the second time in open history, we're going for 20 full minutes. We start with 8 toes to bar, and then it's 10. Hang, clean, and jerks with the dumbbell, 5 each arm, and then 12 calories on the rower for the women, 14 calories on the rower for the men.
Right away, we saw Sam Briggs already get a no rep with her very first dumbbell hang clean to overhead. I think this is something that's going to take some of these athletes some getting used to because we don't see this movement very often.
Kristin Holte is onto the rower. Every 30 reps, they will complete a round. For the men, it's every 32 reps. That is Sylvia Lay. She is one of the local athletes we have here competing in South Hollow. Only 2 years doing CrossFit. Last year when she did the Open for the first time, she was on the cusp as to whether or not she was going to do it RX. And it looks like so far that she's going RX here at 18.1.
Yeah, she's making easy work of that dumbbell. I love that, you know, she gets to ride a little bit of that wave of the atmosphere. Plus you got 2 great people to chase in Sam Briggs and Kristin Holte.
Kristin Holte is done with the first round. 30 reps down and on to round 2 and back for 8 toes to bar. And Samantha Briggs is now done, so less than 90 seconds in that first round.
Yeah, I was predicting about 90 seconds a round overall. They're a little bit faster than that. Let's see if it's something they can hold on to over time. There's a couple of keys in particular, Sean, that I'm really looking for this an event. One is transition time. I mean, with 3 movements and 3 transitions built in over 20 minutes, if you're looking at 13 to 14 rounds, that's anywhere between 35 to 40 transitions. Minimizing the time on those could really, really save you some time. If you take an extra 2-3 seconds per transition, now we're talking about a minute, 2 minutes, maybe even 3 minutes overall the course of the workout, which is some precious reps. Then we look at dumbbell rhythm. I mentioned earlier, Sam Briggs has already gotten a couple of no reps on the dumbbell. In a tight race like this with one of the best in the world, that can be costly for you. And then row efficiency, the 12 rows and the calorie, that's going to take up the bulk of the time, I think, for these athletes in terms of total working time. Being efficient with your pull, making sure you hold a pace constant throughout, and don't fall off on the rower. It's really going to buy you an extra time to chew up some reps once you get back to the toes to bar and the clean and overheads.
Kristin Holte is through now 59 reps. Samantha Briggs is 3 back of her. And Kristin Holte is done with 2 rounds and on to round number 3, and we still have not hit the 3-minute mark. Again, 20 minutes in this workout. Only the second time in open history that we've had a 20-minute time cap.
Yeah, the first time we saw it at 16.1. Something Dave Castro loves is making us go long to start off the workout, especially with a grueling workout that we're going to see tonight.
You heard Rory McKernan talk about it after the workout was announced. Do definitely go to games.crossfit.com and check out the full movement standards. There are some things that you need to keep in mind here on the dumbbell clean and jerk as Kristin Holte has moved back to the rower. Sylvia Lay has decided to go RX. She's trying to get those toes to bar. And good on her for getting out here in front of all these people and throwing down. The other man on the floor, the only man on the floor, is that man, Andre Yenta, 49 years old, has lost nearly 100 pounds in his 2 years of CrossFit.
And that's incredible, Sean. Really, that's what the majority of us get into CrossFit for. It's not for competing in the sport, albeit it's a nice, auxiliary prize or a secondary focus for most athletes, but we get into CrossFit because we want to be healthier, we want to be more active, and you know what, for him, his reward is he gets to throw down right here on the biggest stage with the whole world watching.
Kristin Holte still has a lead on Samantha Briggs as we are past the 4-minute mark, approaching 4.5 gone. Holte through 98 reps. She is in round number 4. Again, every 30 reps will be a round for the women. Every 32 reps will be a round for the men.
And we've already seen their pace slow a little bit, Sean. Kristin was about 1:20 for that first round. Sam was 1:26. They both dropped to about 1:30 per round in that second one, and they're hanging around that 90-second mark now going into round number 4.
Almost a quarter of this workout is done as Kristin Holte is staying ahead of Samantha Briggs, and Holte strapping herself back into the rower. And now Sam Briggs is back onto the rower as well.
You see on the screen there the pace that they have. It's 1,000 calories per hour. That's a pretty strong pace for the female athletes, especially them being a little bit lighter, not quite as tall as some of the men, but being able to hold that kind of 1,000-calorie barrier for some of these elite athletes over 20 minutes is really impressive.
Andre Holte is on the dumbbell, and there are going to be a lot of athletes, even athletes who have regional aspirations, who are going to take a while to figure this movement out.
Yeah, it's something we don't do a ton of. Unilateral work is usually saved for something like a warm-up or some skill work. You'll see it in a dumbbell snatch, but that's about it. I think it's something that over time and practice, people are going to get a lot better at, and now they have a good reason to because it's in the open.
This crowd is going nuts. It is hard to hear yourself even think in this building as Kristin Holte is now through 128 repetitions, 6 minutes down. Samantha Briggs right next to her. And these two have a history that has really been intertwined in the Open. If you remember in 2014, Samantha Briggs won the Open but failed to qualify for the CrossFit Games, and Kristin Holte actually had something to do with that.
Yeah, it was largely because of Kristin Holte in the final event at Regionals. Remember, 2014 is when Holte burst onto the scene for her first CrossFit Games qualification process, but there were only 3 spots available in Europe that year. Sam Briggs was sitting right on the outside in 4th place going into the final workout. Kristin Holte, who was 1 point back, won that workout, leapfrogged Sam Briggs, took the 3rd and final spot, and that was one of the biggest shocks we've ever seen in CrossFit Games history is the reigning champion not making it through regionals, and Kristin Holte had her part in it, and now they're once again squaring off to kick off this season.
Sam Briggs has closed the gap and has managed to pull even with Kristin Holte as Sylvia Lay on the right of your screen in the purple shorts is working through her toes to bar. She's doing this RX, great for her. Of course, I'm sure that she would have a much better score if she went scale, but chose to go RX. Big achievement for Sylvia.
You know what? This is a big mental victory for her, right? You're going RX in front of the whole world. You have your entire country behind you right now cheering you on. This is one of those moments where you know she can do all the movements safely. Why not give it a go and give it a shot? Pay attention to Sam Briggs coming off the rig here. Her first rep, she got no rep on the first rep in the 3rd and 4th round. It seems like she's kind of got her rhythm figured out, and once she did, she's now moved in front of Kristin overall.
Samantha Briggs is able to take the lead at the end of round 5 on the rower. And just like 17.1, if you recall, the hand that is not on the dumbbell cannot make contact with your body. That's going to be tough for some athletes as that thing gets heavier and fatigue sets in. They're going to forget about that. That's going to get you a no rep.
And remember, we have a new dumbbell standard this year when it comes to going overhead. The athletes can't switch hands until it passes the line of their face. So we're going to see some athletes who are maybe used to just kind of switching their hands up top, have to wait to bring that dumbbell back to their shoulder and down. That's actually going to be a little bit of a fatigue with that negative of the dumbbell coming down on your triceps and your shoulders.
Samantha Briggs is through 172 total repetitions. We have not yet reached the halfway point of 18.1. 20 total minutes in this workout. Kristin Holte starting to fall back a little bit. 4 reps behind Briggs. Sylvia Lay working through those toes to bar. And I think the pace that Sylvia Lay has is the one that most of us are going to have once this workout gets to this point. Andre Holte on the left side, he's going to scale this one.
We saw just a second ago the monitor on the screen. I mentioned that 1,000-calorie barrier for Kristin. That's pretty impressive. Sam was holding 1,300 calories. I mean, that's 30% faster than what Kristin is going. Nearly 10 minutes into the workout, that's just insane.
And Sam Briggs is starting to open up a sizable lead on Kristin Holte. Briggs 193 and counting, and here comes Kristin Holte. We mentioned earlier in the show just how good Samantha Briggs is in the Worldwide Open. She has won 10 open events. That is far and away more than anybody else.
And what's interesting here is she actually did something we're not used to seeing from Sam. Usually Sam's pretty known for coming out at this blistering pace to start a workout and almost daring athletes to come and chase her. This time she let Kristin kind of jump out in front and slowly but surely tracked her down over the course of 3 or 4 rounds, and now she's starting to move into a comfortable lead.
No one is better on the rower as far as the women are concerned than Sam Briggs.
Samantha Briggs, she won both the rowing events at the games in 2013 with the 2K row and then the half marathon row. So it doesn't matter if it's long or short. When it comes to sitting on that Concept 2 machine, Sam Briggs is one of the best in the sport.
Samantha Briggs is through 207, 208 reps. Now 210 as she closes out round number 7. And right back to work on the toes to bar. Andre Holte is the gentleman on the left of your screen, 49 years old, out of Born to CrossFit. Again, he has shed 100 pounds in the 2 years since he's been training at Born to CrossFit. Briggs is back onto the dumbbell. Now Samantha Briggs is treating this more like a one-arm kettlebell swing.
Yeah, you know, she's letting that dumbbell go a little bit between her legs to get a little bit of momentum, swinging back up through the portion of the clean. She's not even pausing for the reset on the jerk to go to overhead. The minute she catches, she's staying in that dip and driving it overhead.
Kristin Holte back to the dumbbell.
It's worth a note, Sam Briggs did that last round in 1:27. Her first round was 1:26. She's not really breaking from her pace at all, and over the course of 20 minutes, that's really what's going to win you this workout.
Samantha Briggs is in round 8 right now, as is Kristin Holte. And we are past the halfway point. 20 total minutes, about 8 minutes and 30 seconds remaining as Briggs is through 9 of the 12 calories that she needs to complete on the Concept 2, and Kristin Holte is starting to fall back, although she is now on the rower alongside Samantha Briggs.
And it's very possible, Sean, that regardless of how this ends up, we could be seeing 2 of the top scores for this workout period when it comes to the women. I mean, Kristin Holte and Sam have 2 of the biggest engines in the sport when it comes to just putting your head down and grinding for long periods of time. I mean, these women have that skill in spades.
Samantha Briggs is back to the dumbbell for the 9th time, and she has yet to really slow down. And now Briggs has found her rhythm. Struggled a little bit at first with this movement, but now Samantha Briggs looks like she's been doing this her whole life. And Kristin Holte chalking up her hands and back to the toes to bar. Sylvia Lay continues to crank out some reps. She's on the right of your screen. Again, just 2 years of CrossFit out of Hangar 193 CrossFit. Going RX here, and then Andre Holte is on the left of your screen, 49 years old, out of Born to CrossFit. And Andre choosing to go with the scaled route.
Well, it's nice that he's getting to do that knee up variation of the workout, still getting a great workout, getting that midline work. These are the kind of things that we teach in CrossFit to help build you up to do the RX movement eventually in the toes to bar.
Andre is in round number 5. That's a great score for him. Holte and Briggs on the rower. Briggs is done. Holte back in. Past the 13-minute mark here. An 18.1 from Sao Paulo, Brazil. The opening test of the 2018 Reebok CrossFit Games season. And Briggs has yet to slow down on these toes to bar.
And we just saw her with those toes to bar. She's not doing that full big kip swing like we're used to seeing. She's doing that fast cycle where she brings her feet through almost in a circular motion, kicks them right back up. That's usually something that most of us do when we're fresh. And she's doing that 13 minutes into a workout, you know, almost nearly 300 reps into this workout as well.
She is in round number 10. Kristin Holte is still on the rower, so Briggs may get back on the rower before Holte completes her 9th round. And she does, but just barely as Holte puts the finishing touches on round number 9. And so it looks like Sam Briggs will set the early mark to beat if this pace holds. And given what we know of Sam Briggs and what she's done in the past, highly unlikely that she's going to implode here.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where Sam almost seems like she gets stronger the minute we get into that 15 to 20 minute time range when other people start to slow down. I mean, she's showcased that so many times across the years, the half marathon row, the burden run. We saw it in the Madison triplet last year with the running and going over the hay bales with the cheese curd. She just seems to pick up steam almost like a snowball downhill once we get into these dark minutes, I like to call them, at the end of a long, grueling workout.
Almost 3/4 of the way through. Kristin Holte still on the dumbbell. Neither of the elite athletes have chosen to break those reps up. And Sam Briggs again just rifling through the toes to bar. Holte is back onto the rower as Samantha Briggs is now in round 11.
She's picking up about 3 reps per round on Kristin Holte. She was about 9 reps ahead of her about 3 or 4 rounds ago. She's almost into the 20s, almost at 25 reps ahead of Kristin. I mean, this pace, most people watching at home, you know, this is his regular old run-of-the-mill Sam Briggs, but this is just insane level of capacity that we're seeing here.
Samantha Briggs, after winning the CrossFit Games in 2013, failed to qualify in 2014, was 4th in 2015, 4th in 2016, and then last year, when she probably wasn't 100%, finished 9th. She had shoulder surgery, she is now completely healthy, and she feels like she has what it takes to get herself back into the top 5. She will be 36 years old when the CrossFit Games roll around.
And she's not just your regular run-of-the-mill 36-year-old. I mean, she's showcasing the level of fitness that you can build over time, even if you're in, say, a master's category this year, because she's still teaching a bunch of the youngins a thing or two about how to go long, especially in this workout, and we're seeing it right now.
4 minutes to go. Samantha Briggs is pulling away from Kristin Holte. Sylvia Lay and Andre Hienta are continuing to grind, and good on them for doing it. Briggs into round number 12. Tommy, so far it's looking like the number you threw out at the beginning might actually come to pass.
Yeah, and I watched Sam Briggs here, especially with this hang clean to overhead. Sam early on had to find a movement pattern that had to work for her best. And you notice she's almost doing like a muscle clean, and then once it gets to her shoulders, re-dipping and going overhead. She's not necessarily dipping for the clean to start out, but that's something that works for her. For other people, they may need to dip on the clean, re-dip again, or just clean it and right to overhead. But Sam, we're seeing, once she found the movement pattern that works best for her, it's really been lights out ever since.
Briggs is back to the rower. She is in round number 12. Kristin Holte is finishing out round number 11 with 3 minutes to go here.
And we're seeing these athletes start to elongate their stroke on the rower a little bit. You notice they're starting to lean back a little bit more, really taking that extra breath before they kind of recollect and go back for another pull. That's definitely a sign of fatigue, but still, I mean, at this point in time, we're only a few minutes left. It's to be expected.
Holte's into round 12. Briggs is closing out round 12. Holte had the lead until about round 6, and that is when Sam Briggs overtook her, and she has done nothing but put distance between herself and the woman from Norway since then. Briggs into round 13. Samantha Briggs with 10 repetitions, 5 each arm. You have to do 5 an arm. You cannot alternate. You have to do 5 on one arm and then switch to the next arm, and that was close on that transition.
And most of these top athletes aren't ever going to set the dumbbell down until they're done with all 10. They'll transition right away. For the rest of us normal athletes, you know, we may have to put it down in between each 5 as a nice little transition or break for us, but they've just been plowing through these 10 reps every single time. They almost look machine-like because they're not looking back when it comes to these reps.
90 seconds left in 18.1. Remember, after this, we are going to have another heat after the cool-down show featuring nothing but Brazilian athletes. And you can bet this crowd is going to stick around for that and make a ton of noise. Samantha Briggs, 383 repetitions and counting. About ready to close out round 13, so she is going to get well into round 14 as we now have 1 minute to go in 18.1.
And both of these these athletes are still going strong. Last night, Sean, we went out to dinner with Kristin and Sam, and right after we were done, about 10 o'clock at night, they went back to the gym to get a workout in because they wanted to be prepped and ready to be able to work out at this time of night. It's 10 p.m. here. Most people are back home watching some Grey's Anatomy and going to sleep, and they're working out at a very high level.
Holte and Briggs. Holte on the right, Briggs is on the left. Less than 30 to go in 18.1. Samantha Briggs is in round 14. She will not complete it, but this is going to be a score that I'm guessing is going to stick towards the top of the leaderboard when it's all said and done. Briggs back into the rower, 8 seconds to go, just trying to get as many reps as she can. And that'll do it for 18.1, and it's Samantha Briggs who takes the heat.
You said it, Sean, in the lead into this entire thing. The engine from England is not slowing down. She's still revving it up. She showcased that tonight with just another insane workout.
And give credit to Kristin Holte, too. A great performance from her. What a great show of sportsmanship.